Hello, everyone. I am going to be sharing my screen. So if you're working on an iPad or a tablet or a mobile device, I want to give you a moment so that you can switch your view so that you can see what's on the screen as well as me. So let me go ahead and share my screen. My name is Danielle Silk, and I am honored to be here with you tonight to share some of my spiritual journey as it relates to the Book of Ruth. And I've entitled it My Journey Home. And Ruth is a very important person in our history. She was the first Jew by choice. These are not historically accurate pictures, but I know that visual aids are very helpful for myself as a deaf person and probably for much of the audience, so that's why they're there. What you see here is a picture of four people: Elimelech, and there are two children, Machlon and Kilion. And they were in the kingdom of Judah. There was a famine, which they had to escape from. And so they settled in Moab. These were not Jewish people in Moab. Elimelech died. And so the two boys got married. And of course, they married Moabite women. And then these two brothers died, but the two wives, Oprah and Naomi, would not have to stay.
So Machlon and Kilion.
I'm having a bit of technical difficulties, but
Yes.
So Ruth declared loyalty and said, "Entreat me not to leave you or return from following after you." And of course, Naomi protested because you are going to marry somebody else. You're going to have other children. You shouldn't stay with me. Oprah left, went back to her parents, but Ruth didn't want to. Ruth wanted to stay with Naomi. And there's really a famous passage in the Book of Ruth that she became the first convert by saying these words to her mother-in-law. I don't actually know why my screen has a blue line on it, but I apologize for that. Hopefully you can still read it. She says, "Entreat me not to leave you or return from following after you. Wherever you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there will I be buried. God do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part you and me. So with these words, she announces her intention and her commitment to the Jewish people. And she becomes the first person in history who is a convert and becomes an important person in Jewish history as the great-grandmother of King David. There's much more to the story, and I would encourage you to read and study more this Shabbat, but it's an important story to tell at Shavuot. So Ruth's soul was Jewish. She knew that, she felt that. And now I want to share a little bit about my journey and share two of my truths that I know deep in my soul. I am a Jew, I am deaf, and I find my home here among Jewish deaf people. My journey home has not been easy. I have been told directly and subtly that I don't belong. Some people have been very blunt about it. But I have not listened to those who would reject me. I followed my heart. I know I belong here. And I'll explain a little bit about that. I was raised in an interfaith marriage with the quote unquote wrong Jewish parent, meaning my father, in traditional Judaism, in traditional faith and belief. It is passed from mother to child. And the Reform movement, for example, accepts me, but not all denominations do. I feel nervous sometimes about outing myself in this way because I've gotten these kinds of responses, and I'll read them off the slide. You're not a real Jew. I feel sorry for you. You don't count. And this rejection hurts. Let me explain a little bit more. I always knew that I was Jewish, that my soul was Jewish. This is me at age 4. I grew up in a small, somewhat conservative town. I didn't know any other Jewish families. Some of my friends were involved in a church youth group, and of course they would invite me to attend. I remember going to the church door, these big, beautiful, ornate doors. And at that threshold, I felt unsafe. I didn't want to enter. Every part of my being told me, this is not my place. I remember a little cupboard filled with rosaries, like a necklace with a cross, that my body physically reacted to. I had a visceral reaction. I belonged with my father, with the latkes he made, with the community Seder he brought me to. I remember searching for the afikomen at Passover. That's where I felt safe and comfortable. That was my home. That brings us to being deaf. My deaf journey has also not been so easy. I was born in 1986. Back then, they did not test newborns. I grew up listening and speaking. I had a slight lisp, but nobody really thought anything of it. And at the age of 8, my parents divorced. My mom moved. And when she would speak with me on the phone, she noticed that I wasn't hearing her very well. And at schools, every year, they did screenings. They tested our height, our weight, our vision, and hearing. I failed twice and was referred to an audiologist. for further testing. At which time I was diagnosed with bilateral hearing loss, but I was told I shouldn't worry. The medical system had a way to handle it. I would be fixed with hearing aids, but I continued to lose more hearing. I felt lost. I felt fatigued at school. It was so hard to try and lip read everybody, and I thought I was the problem. So those were my growing up years. I didn't meet another deaf person until I was 19 years old, my VR counselor, because I was challenged enough that I needed new hearing aids. I went to a hearing college. I was ready to go to grad school. But at that point, I started questioning what I should do. Something was wrong with this picture. Something told me to take an ASL course and put off grad school. So I just went to the local community college. And I remember going into that room. I didn't really have a sense of a deaf identity, but I saw a teacher signing, and it was like a light bulb went off for me. That was home. I dove into the deaf world and again faced many barriers, such as people asking me, do you want to be an interpreter? And I had to correct them that I was deaf, and they said, oh, I thought you were hearing, because I didn't sign as a native signer. So I got asked all the time if I was hearing. I had to correct people's misperceptions. And they even commented that my signing looked like a hearing person's signing. I was asked if I was the interpreter. I was told a section was for deaf people only. I had to insist that I was deaf. I heard these kinds or saw these kinds of comments all the time. So when I went to Gallaudet for graduate school, I really had a breakdown because I didn't fit in the hearing world and I wasn't really fitting in the deaf world either. I thought, I'm a person who has no tribe. I have no home. And one night in the dorm, I was looking into cochlear implants. In the end, I don't have them, but I felt like I have to leave Gallaudet, I have to get cochlear implants, and I have to accommodate myself to the hearing world. Or do I stay here in the deaf world and fight the barriers? And I realized that there was a third choice, which is to be open to learning and not take these comments personally, share feedback with people, educate people about my own journey. And I made the decision to learn, to be open to that. And that continues to today. I'm blessed to be taking Judaism 101, a foundations course in ASL with Rabbi Rebecca Dubow. And that's really a melding of my Jewish and deaf identities, and it feels like home. And with you all tonight, I know that I have taken that third choice. I am Jewish, I am deaf, and I am home. So this is when I was at my bat mitzvah when I was 12. And this class is my first step in a more formal conversion ceremony. I know that my soul is Jewish, I know that, but I want to learn more. I want to make it explicit and public knowledge. Again, I encourage you to take some time and read the Book of Ruth and about Shavuot, this Shabbat, and reflect what it means to welcome the stranger, that people might be struggling. They might not feel that they have a home, and we can be supportive and inclusive and welcoming. You never know where it ends up. Thank you so much. Happy Shavuot. Shabbat Shalom.